Now.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our second painting webinar of 2023. Today is Friday, January 27, 2023. Thanks for being here today. We're super excited of the group of people that are joining us. And also, if you're watching us from the future, let me just check something. Yeah, if you're watching us from the future, so welcome, and we hope you enjoy today's beginning of the painting collection. Hi, Jen, how are you?
I always love the part where you say, if you're watching us from the future. I love it. It's so like sci-fi, back to the future. Who
One
knows?
day, who
What's
knows?
the planet like?
Yes.
Like it's kind of
Um,
terrifying and also awesome.
yeah. Who knows? Yeah, who knows who's gonna watch from the future? But I'm excited. We're recording. We have now like hundreds of hours, possibly,
Yes, yes.
from three
Hopefully we'll
years.
be remembered well, friend.
Yeah, cheers to yeah, anyone who's survived. Oh my gosh.
For real.
Let's just kind of like slow down.
Yeah, let's start there.
Anyhow, so yeah, rabbits, we're excited. There are plenty. Okay, so before we start like sketching, we put just a few images in the folder. And unlike the P22 collection, there are like literally thousands of images of rabbits, one cuter than the other. Please just do a little bit of search if you'd like to. This is how we searched for images of rabbits. We put like photographs of rabbits, photographs of long-haired rabbits, because those are amazing and super funky and hilarious. Vintage photos of rabbits. We love the nostalgia of photography of rabbits from a few years ago. So there's plenty of um, images, sources, two rabbits, one rabbit, profile, frontal view, floppy ears, spots. Take your time. We're excited because we, first of all, can't believe we haven't done paintings of rabbits in the years that we've been doing this. And um, it took a while for us to kind of like come up with this situation, I guess, just even though we're looking at images of rabbits this past Sunday. I personally on our social media, I was like scrolling, and I realized that not many people posted paintings of rabbits, and the ones that people posted, they're the typical ones. The Durer image. If you watch the inspiration video, we talked about it, but not much more. So this is our chance. This is our chance to kind of like have something for future generations, so they can share when it's another the year of the rabbit or Easter coming up, which is also a great opportunity. Not to mention the amazing positive connotations and symbolism that this animal has. So yeah, and also since we also did this before with the bison, with the dog, I forgot how many, with the pig, I forgot how many other animals we did. But the idea, the selfish idea as well, is to create images that are appealing and commercial enough, so perhaps someone would be more enticed to purchase our work. So it's kind of like double whammy. So I just chose this image. I'm going to start sketching. And in the meantime, yeah, and I'm just using a hard surface. We talked about last week, we mentioned that, we're going to try to elevate the quality of the surface, just because in the last few weeks of 2022, we were able to pull out all the paintings that we did throughout the year, the 17 paintings, along with plein airs. And it's so nice to document and compile that collection. It makes it looks so good and it's so beautiful that we suggested and recommended, if you can, to use a more durable and also commercially more expensive for other people surface. So I'm using like a board, a 1/2 inch board. I got it from Blig and it has all the holes already, but it's also an opportunity or maybe a psychological trick for us to be more serious about our work, to take our work more seriously. Those are similar sentences, but a little bit different. And yeah, perhaps when we do our summer break and our winter break, thinking of those periods of time that we have gathered to continue working on our pieces, it'll be much easier to sort of like bring back these paintings and work on them a little bit further if we need to. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead. And so Jen, I was able to pull some articles about the symbolism of the rabbit, and but if you find something that catches your eye in regards to what it means, what kind of like energy projections and forecast,
Mhm.
please share that, because the world looks pretty dark these days. So I think I just want to take advantage of this subject to also raise the vibrational energy and make sure that, you know, we kind of like remember the symbology. But I'm just going to go for my potato shape anyhow. But yeah, I'm using rectangular portrait orientation. And I just lower the image a little bit because it's really close to the upper side or the upper edge. I'm going to try to leave a little bit more. I'm going to work with alignments. So this will be the top of the ear. And I'm going to do my my potato shape with animals. We've done this before, and we know that they're deceptively complicated and complex and sophisticated. So this looks nice and happy and funny and charming and cute. And but I'm just word of advice, this will be challenging, it will be difficult, it will be confronting. We haven't practiced rabbits before, so I'm expecting a lot of like, you know, not super stressful, but certainly yeah, just kind of like be extra kind, just because we see the image, it's cute, we associate it with positive elements. It gives us emotional positivity, and then when we do the translation, we have that in the back of our heads, and then the execution will bring something different. Just be aware of it. And it may sound a little strange to mention this, but it's amazing the expectation that our subconscious sets when we choose a subject that instills a lot of like really cute feelings. And then when we start executing that, you call that the rabbits or babies or children or flowers, something that we consider pretty, or it always feels more difficult. That's my point. And there's nothing more difficult or less difficult. I just like to recalibrate my expectations about it and make sure that I'm extra kind, extra patient, and understand that it's going to take perhaps a little bit more work to sort of like get a result that maybe for me conveys all those elements. There was Chloe sent us an article mentioning, I wasn't able to read it. I think if you can post it on the chat, Chloe, that'd be awesome. And apparently rabbits are not the luckiest signs in the lunar astrology. I think the luckiest are the dragon, the snake, and the rat. I'm not sure if I read that correctly. The ones that feel like more hostile, I guess, are the ones that are the luckiest. Um, anyhow, so I thought that was interesting, and it's just amazing how the scholars take how seriously they take this, as they should. Um, so yeah, I'm just doing my potato shape, and things to consider: all the space around the edges. Make sure that your composition is intentional. If you make something too close to the edge, it's going to look off frame. It's going to give you a very unbalanced use of the space. And unless you really want it that way, you have to be intentional. If you do want to cause a sense of like awkwardness, because that's the purpose of your concept in doing this, then go for it. There are no rules. There are no compositional rules that we have to follow. But unless you have an intention, if you make it too close to the edges, it's going to look awkward. It's going to look odd. It will make our painting weaker. It doesn't matter how much we embellish. Thanks, Chloe. It doesn't matter how much we embellish the painting with details and floritures. And I think that's a word, but I'm not sure. The painting will remain weak. So compositionally, just organizing the space. How much space do you leave between the focal point? In my case, I only have one focal point. I chose this because conceptually, I like the idea of black and white. I like this sort of like mixed merging of like different backgrounds. There's something like really interesting, but I also chose it because there's no context in the background. There's no horizon line. There's no perspective. It's a flat color. I could just be at ease trying to build a texture. So I was not necessarily spending a lot of time thinking about this, but there was a very speedy thought process that touched a few criteria that I thought was important. So yeah, just keep that in mind. We're still at the beginning. I'm going to pace the session until we reach the end of the session. Oh, there's a bee that just came in the studio. So I think it's the orange solvent, because this is very weird, Jen.
Oh my gosh, are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm okay. I'm just gonna,
Oh no.
I'm gonna open everything.
Oh, I see it. We see it.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah. You know, it's so warm outside. Warmer. Hold on 1 second. Oh.
This is hysterical.
Warm outside that I opened all the doors of the studio. And yeah, I'm just gonna do something right now. I am going to, while I sketch, I'm gonna take the palette out. And the rags. I'm gonna take the palette and the rags. Just give me 1 minute. Well, it kind of like, I think the bee left.
I do wonder if the bees are attracted to the orange
I think
sets.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, when we were at the farm, that happened too. And where else were we? When we were at Heritage Square, we had some bees.
Oh, where? Sorry.
At Heritage Square Museum.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the good thing is that it's a natural we can assert and confirm that it's a fully natural product. So
Yes.
I don't think the bees would be attracted to. I trust the bees' intelligence. Maybe when we do something outdoors, we can just bring the Gamsol, Jen, and just use the
I don't know.
Gamsol.
I think that we're helping the bees, frankly, my friend. Maybe
Yeah, I
this is
don't mind.
another thing that painting does. It helps the bees.
Okay, good. All right, so that's gonna be That's
Add it to the list.
for the bees.
For the bees. That's right. It's our next shirt.
For the bees. That's good. All right, so yeah, and okay, so I'm excited for my potato shape. And again, just look at the length of each section of that outline. What are the main features? Is it straight? Does it have a curvature? Does it break at any point? Does it create a corner? How tall or how far does it go? So this is like not only an exercise in observation, obviously, but it's an exercise in trying to embrace as many criteria as possible. The trick or the key about how to draw is based, or in my opinion, based and anchored on practice. And although practice kind of like becomes an umbrella term, it means that every time you approach drawing, we should be able to incorporate a new criteria into our observational, approach. So, yeah. Okay, perfect. So that criteria could be how long.
That's so funny. Laura said done. You're done, Julio. You did it. I mean, there is something so familiar about the shape of a rabbit that does feel, like you nail it pretty fast, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't know. I should shut my mouth because I'm not drawing with you guys.
No, but it's true. I'm
But maybe that's
surprised.
one of the traps that you talked about.
Yeah. All right, structural lines. I'm gonna go for structural lines and see what happens. So yeah, I'm just gonna see what happens with the structural lines. So once I have the silhouette, and things to expect. I don't know what the painting's gonna give me, but so this is my approach to it. Every time I paint something again associated with cuteness, I just wanna. I love it because I think it makes me happy. I think it's amazing. I think it's deserving of being elevated. So I want to bring some kind of like painterly elements. I want to make sure that the cuteness of the subject combines well with an artistic approach. I want to create a painterly look. I don't want to make it too flat or too illustration-like or too perfect or too polished. So I tried to conceptually and stylistically create something that is cute and instills kind of like emotions of positivity, but at the same time, just bring all our Rembrandt-esque kind of like abilities and make it as painterly interesting as possible, with smudginess, with underdeveloped areas, with intentional brushstrokes, maybe just playing with color or maybe the absence of color. But I think there's something really powerful about choosing a subject that has a universal appeal. We've done it like several times. For example, I remember when we painted the rainbows, the landscape with rainbows, and we decided to do sort of like monochromatic painting on the landscape, and then only the rainbow had the color. I love those paintings. They're so incredible because they combine a subject that it's cheerful and harmless and not provocative, not controversial, but then we just inserted that in a very artistic approach to landscape. So I'm gonna try to bring up that same thing. Yeah. I don't know how it'll play out, but I think I'm excited about that. I'm gonna start like also bringing so lighter area right here, darker. So I'm gonna start shading. So doing some shading already, just to kind of like move away from the flatness of the drawing. Um, all right, Jen, what do you got? Do you got anything? Any keywords? Any brainstorming about?
About the bunny?
Yeah.
Yes. Let me open the link. I included this, you guys, in the notes. And obviously, this is just one website, so there's um, plenty. But the first is the story of how the zodiacs are arranged. And the legend, or I don't know, the story is this, is the rabbit is the fourth of all zodiac animals. Legend has it that the rabbit was proud, arrogant even, of its speed. He was neighbors with the ox and always made fun of how slow the ox was. One day, the Jade Emperor said the zodiac order would be decided by the order in which the animals arrived at his party. The rabbit set off at daybreak, but when he got there, no other animals were in sight. Thinking that he would obviously be the first, he set off to the side and napped. However, when he woke up, three other animals had already arrived. One of them was the ox he had always looked down upon. So I guess the
Interesting.
story of the tortoise and the hare is universal. Oh, just different animals. Okay, so in Chinese culture, rabbits represent the moon.
The moon.
The moon.
Oh, interesting.
Some say it's because the shadows of the moon resemble a rabbit. Others say it is because of the rabbit's pure characteristics. Rabbits are earnest with everything they do, and they just ask that others treat them the same way. So this year, oh no, try to see what I can remember. Since my phone is acting up. Hold on 1 second. This year, the rabbit's element is water. So if you were born this year or 1963, then your element is water. And the fortune for rabbits born at this time is these rabbits had financial hardships during youth, but are able to turn unfortunate events around. During the elderly years, money must be spent to preserve longevity. That's their fortune. Men who are born in the rabbit year are extraordinarily polite and do whatever they can to avoid conflicts.
Okay, we like that.
Yeah, they like organizing and decorating, and often help wives. I love this. Also, often help wives with chores. So God only knows when this was written. But that doesn't mean they actually like being responsible for the home. They're a great friend, but they don't like becoming too close with someone.
Too close to?
Yeah, too close.
Okay.
I guess intimacy issues maybe. Women born in the year of the rabbit love being social. They are thoughtful and treat everyone politely. They are very conscious of their public image and hate violence in arguments.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That one is just, let me see if I can get back to it now. It's erosion. Okay. Here we go. Okay, in love, they are very extreme. There's a clear difference, but extreme.
Yeah.
There's a clear difference between who they love and who they don't, and they rarely pass that line. But if they find someone they love, they'll put everything into the relationship. But the deeper they go, the more hurt they can get. These rabbits are insecure more than other zodiac signs. Oh, other zodiacs. They need to be reassured often.
Okay. Needy.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they're most compatible with the dog, pig, and goat.
Okay.
So Julio, that's I think why you were like, "Ooh, I
Yes.
like
I'm a
that."
pig.
Yes. So it says rabbit and pig have similar personalities and will be attracted to each other.
Okay.
Okay, least compatible with,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
Brett, rooster, dragon, rat.
Okay.
So rabbit and rooster clash strongly and are least compatible. Even today's weather can be a reason for an argument.
Okay.
Okay. Dragons have similar goals and interests with rabbits, however, their personalities may clash. Um,
All
I don't
right.
think my phone likes this website. It literally keeps. Uno momento. Okay, relationships with rats are tricky. Tell me about it. With times, differences will appear and it'll become impossible to agree with each other.
Okay.
The lucky things for rabbits are red, pink, purple, and blue, 3, 4, and 9. Directions of love. This is, I don't really know what this means. Direction of love, east. Direction of wealth, northeast or southwest.
Wow, it's so specific, huh?
Yeah, I don't know if that means that's the direction you go
I
or
don't know.
that's
Maybe
where
just for
you
feng
live.
shui purposes, maybe orienting beds
Mm-hmm.
or shrines or
Oh, so smart. Yeah, that's
maybe.
exactly what it is. Um,
All right.
okay, hold on. Let me get off of this website because it is not agreeing with me. And it was something that was like real short and sweet. Um, so this is from ABC News,
Uh-oh.
this one, and it says, "What does it mean for those born in the year of the rabbit?" And it says, "Rabbit is clever and energy.
Okay.
Lots of good chances for promotions, good jobs, friends, and money too."
Okay. That's good.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. But this, so, but isn't there an idea, Julio, where when it's your year, it's not necessarily the best time for you?
Maybe. I don't know. I think you mentioned this like before.
Oh, I did?
I think you told me before. Yeah.
That's so funny because
Maybe.
I think you told me.
Oh, maybe I did. I don't know. Maybe I did. Um, I'm not sure, but it would make some sort of like sense, sometimes too similar. And it happens with a lot of energies when they're
Mm-hmm.
very similar. It's just not really sometimes opposite energies kind of like bring the best kind of like outcomes. So
Right.
I could see why. Okay. I could see why this could be not necessarily the best year for an actual rabbit.
Hmm.
No. Yeah.
Do you remember the year of the pig? Did you have a good year?
This is a good question. I'm just gonna see when was the last time it was a pig. I don't think so.
I
I
think
don't
it
think
was
so,
like
actually.
maybe like 2008,
Yeah.
2009, something like that.
Um, I'm gonna tell you. So 2007, 2019. No, it wasn't the best.
Ba-boom.
I can tell you that. Uh, I consider myself like very lucky, but yeah, I could remember certain clouds. Yeah, certain clouds, especially the last year of the pig.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Oh,
but we'll see. Thanks for reading that, and I'm done with the. It was perfect, so thank you. Done with the
perfect.
sketch.
Oh, Denise says, "Oh no, I'm a water rabbit."
You'll be fine.
Listen, Denise, we don't know what we are talking about. Okay,
Exactly.
you could have the most amazing year of your entire life.
Yeah, you will.
It
Yeah.
sounds like you're going to become very wealthy, according to ChineseNewYear.net. So
Uh,
there you go.
and I think also that Dina is also was born year of the rabbit.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so that's exciting.
Very exciting.
I'm gonna bring there are no bees outside. Oh no, there is a bee that wants to come in. I'm gonna bring the palette, close the door, and start kind of like doing my imprimatura. But just double checking, I'm happy with the edges, and I'm also happy with the direction. I don't know what's gonna happen with the paint, of bringing um a little. Oh yeah, bringing. Okay, I'll be right back. 1 minute. Okay, 1 second.
I told Julio this on Tuesday, you guys, but a fun little fact about our family is that me and Carl and Henry all have the same Chinese zodiac. We are all year of the snake, um,
Oh well,
which is, yeah, it just feels, how is that possible? But
that is
there
amazing.
you have it. I need to
You,
find out, like, I think I've researched before what our element is, but I forgot. But they're probably not all the same element. Well, maybe. Shoot.
um, one of the luckiest lunar signs, the snake, apparently.
Yeah. Well, honestly, Carl and Henry both are incredibly lucky people. Me, not so much. But
Way!
no, I mean, I'm lucky in many ways, but they are just those kinds of people. Like Carl will like walk up to like a contest that's like, guess how many M&Ms are in this jar,
Oh, I see.
and he'll get it right, or he'll win a raffle every time we go somewhere. It's wild.
Wow,
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
that is the kind of energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. All right. Just setting up the palette in the meantime, and just enjoying uh my early success and hoping with the painting, hoping that this carries on with the rest. I'm gonna start. I'm not gonna use any color, and it's up to you to follow whichever direction you'd like to follow. I prefer to keep it muted and neutral at the beginning, so I'm just gonna use the typical our staple palette. Just gonna hold off with the green, I believe. Yeah, and I'm just gonna use a combination of the black and the yellow ochre. But for now, I just want to just give a little bit of base. Let me just put this right here. Take me just 1 minute, but that would be the idea. And I'm gonna use green, but not yet. But yeah, I'm just gonna continue with this idea of like bringing stylistically, and everyone reflect on the kind of like combination of concept and style that you want, because sometimes we paint everything the same way. Doesn't matter what it is, and stylistically we use the same language. But I would argue that it's not a bad idea to give it a little bit of a thought and see if stylistically you want to treat your painting in a way that complements the concept somehow. Yeah.
Hey,
So I'm gonna
Julio, we
keep
have
it.
a, oh,
Mhm.
sorry. We have a question in the chat. If one of our painters doesn't have chromatic black, but does have lamp, is that right? Lamp and ivory black and
Yeah.
also paints gray, what's the best alternative?
Oh my gosh. I would say Payne's Gray. I would say Payne's Gray.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just I like the coolness, but I also like the transparency. So I think, and it's the most colorful of all of that because the Mars Black at the very beginning, I don't know, it would make me nervous, but so I would say Payne's Gray. In fact, it would be such a great color for this. So solvent first, and then I'm gonna use chromatic black. And I know that the ears are darker, but I'm gonna start with the background. Every time you start your imprimatura, know that it's an opportunity to rethink positions. We're gonna do it much more definitively when we do the first color notes. But
And friend, one more question about
yeah,
palette. If you don't have burnt umber, is raw umber a good alternative?
yeah, I think that's the color that we use, like raw umber. I'm sorry, burnt umber. Yes, instead of raw umber. Yeah, it's a little warmer, but yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. Um, what's the darker umber color that we tried before? It's brown, but it almost looks like black. I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, so we use raw umber, burnt sienna, and then oh my gosh, on the tip of my tongue. It's like the name of someone.
Something brown. Van Dyke
Van
Brown.
Dyke. Van Dyke. Lois immediately knew. Yes. Yes, Lois. You
Um,
like how I was like, it's somebody's name. Take a Van Dyke. Yes.
That's a great substitute for raw umber. In fact, at some point we were deliberating if
Mm,
we should substitute raw umber for Van Dyke Brown.
mhm.
Um, so I think Van Dyke Brown, if you have it, it would be superior. If the choices are raw umber or burnt umber or Van Dyke Brown, I would say Van Dyke Brown. So I'm just going to, the purpose of imprimatura is just to set the base, prime the surface, wet the surface, seal the charcoal. It's not serious in the sense that it's not the final things. Don't get frustrated. Um, Try not to bring judgment to this. This is a good practice. Painting, we know it's a good practice in many ways for many things. Um, it's a good practice to slow down. It's a good practice to soften up. It's a good practice to embrace humbleness and try not to create conflict with yourself. Just bringing up this idea of the rabbit that you just read, Jen, the idea of not necessarily avoiding conflict in a negative way, but try not to foment, cause, or let conflict sort of like overwhelm your thought process. With painting, that's a good practice. You are going to do something and that's going to confront you. It's just going to create some sort of like friction or conflict. And I feel like, especially so early in the stage, take that as an opportunity to remove yourself from that conflict. Maybe remove yourself from the conflict could be a more positive. There's always, I always, obviously, because of I think who I am, um, I always felt that there's this message, constant message from everyone. Avoiding conflict is not good. You need to, it's not good. And I understand the reasons why, but mostly because it's not healthy. And at some point you need to, find a resolution, and you can put away or adjourn um, important, I guess, discussions or with yourself and other people. It's you can hold on or hold off growth. So sometimes, so I get it, but at the same time, I just feel that there's something also positive about removing yourself from conflict. And maybe I'm not saying like escaping or running away, um, which I'm still working on it, but not making it about yourself, or trying to approach it in a way that you're still present, but you're not bringing the conflict uh, in you. Um, Anyhow, just trying to use the same uh, energy that we're talking about to sort of like how to pacify your um, stress when you feel like you've chosen a color that you don't like, or it looks this way or that way. All that is conflict. And I think just allowing it at this early stage, it's not necessarily healthy or beneficial. There's so much work to do, so many steps that we have to take. I think removing conflict from, if you can, from this early stage, it would be a good idea, if you ask me. So yeah, this is like I'm glad about the beginning stage, choosing this weird color. Just gonna bring some raw umber, not black, such as raw umber, and try to darken the spots. I'm using a medium super bad brush, like frayed, old, messed up. Um, it's not the big brush, but it kind of like gives me an opportunity to go fast. My brush strokes are gestural. The idea again is to just cover the painting with some parts, with a combination of solvent and a little bit of paint. The surface that I'm using, it's very absorbent, so it's already making the paint set, which is good. I'm not sure I have a favorite when it comes to surfaces. I like highly absorbent surfaces just because they set the paint, the oil paint, so it's a little bit easier to layer. But there's something about non-porous surfaces and oil that I really love. It's more trepidant. It's more adrenaline inducing, just because everything drips and everything glides, nothing sticks, and the brushstrokes are not flat, and there's much more blending going on. I would even argue that it makes a better oil painting. I just remember when we transitioned from acrylic to oil, we brought mylar surfaces. Like, these are like, it's plastic, non-porous surfaces. We never introduced the medium, or it was the first time. Most of us never touched oil, and the ones who did never didn't use it in a very long time. And it created a lot of conflict at the beginning. Everything dripped. It was a mess. Nothing stuck. It was frustrating. I just remember vividly. I think one of the first paintings we did was the still life with the cheese, the pear, and the ant, the melted cheese, the camembert, I believe. Those paintings
That was
were
the first one.
right.
The very first one.
Those were sensational paintings.
They were incredible.
Okay.
They were incredible. And it was this mind blowing moment of like this, I don't want to say intuitive, like it was like we had all of the tools in our tool belt and it was just a matter of trusting ourselves and, you know,
Mhm.
being open to a teaching moment and
Mhm.
going with it and it just feeling so right. Am I being too woo woo?
No, no, you're right. Yeah, it's true. I mean, in retrospect, I think we can make this kind of assessments, and it's
Yeah.
important we do actually, just because, yeah, remembering, because sometimes we will always, I think it's human nature, we will always gravitate towards safety, just because it's unlearned survival like behavior
Absolutely.
that didn't feel safe.
No.
There's something to be said about, taking a risk. And
I think too, because like you said, everyone in that class, it was new to everyone, whether or not it was, like you said, they hadn't done it in 20 years or they literally had never squeezed out oil onto a palette before, that it was this collective, okay, guys, let's all jump together. And, you know, they had a person at the helm that they completely trusted, being you, and just kind of this permission to maybe fail. And then, and it ended up being so loose and beautiful and really, really incredible. And honestly, kind of like when you and I talk about this often, we get a new painter and they have absolutely nothing to lose and they paint a masterpiece. And then the next time they come, they put all of that on themselves and they're completely hindered by it.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
rabbits.
no, no, well said. It's true. Something about that experience. Yeah. Um, I miss painting on Mylar, but just because of that. All right, I'm just like adding some white in certain areas. I'm almost done with imprimatura. What do we want from the imprimatura? Essentially, we just want everything covered with a little bit of solvent and paint, period. The bar is very low at this stage. The bar meaning the expectation of what should happen. It's not about likeness or um, proportions or visual illusions. The basic expectation here is to cover everything with something wet, period. Um, we'll have many opportunities to go over and create or manipulate what we've done. But for now, yeah, that's where we are. Okay, I'm gonna take a mini here. It's like me fussing about details and stuff already. Mini break, but just already working some of the edges, but it's okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. And time wise, perfect before the first hour. So I think at least if we can get that sketch, the composition, and the imprimatura squeezed in, it's a good pace, I would say. It's a good pace. So I'm just going to move forward, just park my medium brush and get another like smaller brush. I have um, this flat brush that I like because it's white. So maybe I'll just use this because I don't want like super fine definition. So first color notes, I'm gonna dedicate possibly the next hour working with first color notes only. I don't think I'm gonna officially move to second color notes. I'm gonna make a distinction. First color notes. The two most important things that happen here, the most important things. Number one is the drawing component. So when we tackle the first color notes, the main goal is to take care of like drawing areas, meaning imagine you're resketching it again. Imagine that you have an opportunity to create some betterment of the position of your focal point. Maybe that's a better word than making it better for some reason. I don't know. We're not fixing anything. We're just kind of like continue evolving or unfolding or progressing with where the lines are. And that includes revisiting every stretch of edge work, contrast between form and background, or positive space and negative space. And when you revisit, kind of like refine, reshape any of those segments of that border or that edge. That's number one. The second element is starting our color direction. So with first color notes, we want to start processing our raw palette and start creating a palette that would be the exclusive palette of this painting. We know that we always start with the same staple palette, our raw material, and we know that we've never painted two paintings using the same combination of colors. Every single painting that we've done has its own combination, its own alchemy, its own result in a range of colors that can never be repeated. So with first color notes, we start the process of processing the color and finding a direction. So I'm going to bring some yellow this time, not green yet, because I love that combination of yellow and black. And I'm going to try to see if that the different shades of white. I think I'm looking at this subject matter, and what I'm excited about is this will be a study on white color, the cooler, the warmer, the stark white versus the off-white. So perhaps I'm going to start working on variations of that color, and then naturally the different approaches on the spotted areas. So maybe I'll just need to bring some red. I'm not sure, but maybe I'll need to bring some other colors. But I don't think, I think the only color that I'll need to supplement will be later, the sap green. But for now, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to go darker to lighter. And I'm going to start with the ears. So this process will use oil instead of solvent, will create more opacity. I'm just going through the technical aspects because we want some coverage. We will not get fully full coverage when we apply it. There will be still some transparency, but we really want that painterly effect, more so with this subject matter. Again, very important here, the concept and the style, how you merge those two so you create something dynamic. Perhaps, maybe I'm just kind of like articulating my thought process. Not so predictable, not so easy to consume and discard. We want to engage the viewer's eye. We want the viewer's eye to land on this painting and hold their eyes a little bit longer, an extra millisecond. We want to make sure that the painting says something original, that it kind of like reflects our own idea of like beauty and taste and aesthetic quality, that it's not just the painting that someone else would do. It will never be that, but we want to make sure that we give some sort of like personal signature, personal character. And how do we do that? I feel like we have to be a little bit intentional with this merging of concept and style, maybe making it a little bit less polished, a little bit less, I would even dare maybe colorful, but if you're using color, maybe use different colors, something unexpected, something surprising, something stimulating, that makes the subject matter even much more attractive. Um, Only my advice, we can also approach it in a way that intentionally enhances the cuteness. And that could be a different approach. I'm just articulating mine, making it softer or much more smoky or less hard on the edges. So it becomes much more endearing and accessible and soothing. We can also practice that in a way that instead of like going the opposite direction stylistically, we go full on the same direction as the concept. We're painting something cute and soft and harmless and endearing. So maybe that's the style of painting that you want to bring in. So the merging of concept and style amplifies that aspect. You choose, but give it a thought. Pause, sit down, and think about it. What kind of projection, energetic projection, painterly projection do you want to give to this painting? Because I think those kind of like invisible elements make the painting, sets the painting apart from other paintings. And that's what we want. I think I mentioned this. I need to talk to this artist. There's an artist from Sweden. Her name is Anna. She lives in Mexico, and she's a fine artist, but she currently has a business in which she creates artwork, and then she prints it on bags. She makes bags, and she creates her own designs. And she's pretty successful. She sells online, and she used to be, or she studied anthropology. So she is an anthropologist and an artist. And in a very interesting chat a few weeks ago, she kind of like brought up, we were talking about, I think the conversation was talking about taste and culture, and how not only each country, but each demographic in each country has a specific taste that is influenced by culture, by context, by what other people think, by what other people show. So it was a very interesting conversation. And she brought up her anthropological perspective, since she studied like different civilizations throughout history in different geographical locations. She brought up one common thread, and I thought that was gold from an artist's point of view. Regardless of the historical time and regardless of the geographical location, ancient Egypt or Western culture or Eastern, history and African, tribes, there's always a common thread in human approach to aesthetics, and that is that humans are attracted to the scarce and unique, because in scarcity we find value. So that could be, for example, if you in Western civilization, people who buy an expensive car, or people who just get a jewel that there's only one of a kind. But it could be also a piece of clothing that symbolizes something important because only one person has it, or only a few people has it. So she essentially said that the idea of class and importance and power is always based on objects that are not accessible. And I found it interesting because from the point of view of what we're doing right now, and which is painting, we could apply the same premise to tap into this universal human condition. If we make a painting that has something unique, something that's one of a kind, something that is unpredictable, weird, odd, but also perhaps compositionally not the same as others, we will get the attention. We will tap into this sort of like desire. And why do we do this? Yes, we paint because we can process and cope and translate. There is safety. There's also something that feels very private. There are a lot of reasons why we paint, but at the same time, why not adding to this idea of like painting for health reasons, add this idea of like creating something desirable. Do it. Think of it. How do we create something desirable? By making it unique, by making it impossible to repeat. We have a better chance of someone landing their eyes on our piece and finding something strange, shocking perhaps, in a good way, or confronting. Some people go to the extreme, but at least different. We have a better chance of that painting creating an emotional response than if we paint something, predictable or immediately recognizable, or something that registers super fast and doesn't cause any sort of like kind of conflict maybe, or sparks any motivation or any novelty on someone looking at it. I'm going to stop talking, but I thought that was a good, when I heard it, not what I said, but when I heard it, I thought it was a good, it had a good application to painting and how to use painting to appeal to that. All right, so I am just bringing yellow and black, and it's not working. But let's kind of like slow down and stop. Why is it not working? First of all, I'm not getting the brilliance of the color. It's not something that reads green. And immediately my first reaction is, okay, conflict, wrong, bad, not strong enough, not colorful enough. This is not going anywhere. I don't like it. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. Stop. Pause. Don't do that sprint rushing towards those conclusions. Why do I find this conflictive, or why is it creating conflict? I printed this on a paper and using laser printer and using liquid ink. And I know that the ink, it's very saturated. And I know that the photograph was possibly tweaked. And I know that, I need, based on experience, I need to understand the context of this green. This is a very artificial green, highly pigmented. So I don't want it to have power over my creative decisions. In fact, I'm just gonna not cave into that fear of not making a colorful green. And I'm going to continue with my idea and making a green that it's calm, doesn't read like green at all, just like a very strange, weird color. But I'm just gonna keep with that aesthetic direction. I'm not escaping conflict. I'm putting myself outside of the conflict. I'm not letting the conflict affect me. I think, yeah. Talk about vague dissertations, Jen.
I don't think so.
How,
I think that in a very human way, we tend to fill in our own blanks, fill in the blanks with our own information. So I think that the vagueness might help a little. You know what I mean?
yeah. All right, so we'll see. I will bring sap green. I will bring viridian green. I know I can do it, but I'm in no competition with the photograph. I'm not thinking of what you said, the analogy or the legend that you brought up earlier, Jen. I'm not going to compete with the immediacy of bringing color. I'm going to use that energy. And we'll see where this will take me. I'm not sure. We'll see. This will not be the last screen I'm adding, obviously. But for now, I'm glad I was able to rationalize or process my first approach, which was wrong, bad, not colorful enough. Therefore, not good enough. Why? Why? Be in constant or have like a healthy dose of skepticism when you approach painting. And how does skepticism work? Sometimes we make such a strong reaction to our painting. We tell ourselves this is bad, and we believe it. So why don't you bring a sense of skepticism also to your own process? We all have like some sort of like form of trust issues with the outside world. And those may be healthy and sometimes may not be super healthy, but we have a hard time trusting others, trusting situations. As we grow older, we become more skeptical, and which in a way it's good, but we could argue that we're also removing opportunities from coming to our life when we become way too skeptical. And I noticed as I crossed the threshold of 50, I noticed I knew before passing the threshold, I knew that there were very clever people that I kind of like admire that were saying this. After 50, you become much more skeptical. And I see it happening. You know, it's just, it's natural. And it's good. But at the same time, if you bring too much skepticism to your own artistic practice, your practice will suffer. So try, let me just kind of like rephrase that again. Try to be skeptical with your own emotional reactions to something. If you are doing something and immediately you say, this sucks, don't trust it. Be skeptical. Ask yourself, why do I think this way? Try to find a reason, or not, but be skeptical when we get overwhelmed with defeated sensation, or especially with artistic practice. It's so easy to get there. All right, so I'm liking this green. I'm going to move to the darker areas. And from the I'm going to pivot to technical aspects. Darker to lighter. Try to set up the anchor points of the darker areas. I haven't done it, but I'm just going to go there right now. And also don't spend too much time in one section. Move constantly. Don't settle. You don't have to finish something in order to give yourself permission to go to something else. In fact, I would say be scattered. Be scattered. Spend 3 brushstrokes on one area, move somewhere else. And we go over the reasons why we do that. It's more practical, it's more efficient, it's harder. We don't know how many opportunities we're going to have to go back to this painting. We want to make sure that we are as efficient. If there's one time to be as efficient as you can be with a painting, a process, I mean, I don't know, I would argue in general, a task, bring it at the very beginning. There's no time to lose. There's no time to waste. You want to make sure that every single second, measurable time that you have at the beginning of the process is it's efficient, not effective, efficient. So jumping from one area to the next will just help you move forward the entire painting at once and at least achieve a level of accomplishment or progress that will make it easier to continue. So, okay, darker to lighter. I'm still doing chromatic black, but I think this painting will need some Mars black maybe later. And what I'm doing right now, I'm creating opacity, but I'm just revisiting that edge and I am resketching it again. So I'm not just filling the blanks. I'm not just coloring. This is not about, I have the edges set with the charcoal, I'm good to go. No, I constantly revisit. I constantly sort of like observe, because I know that I'm gonna see more. Yeah. Yes. All right. It's going well. Savor your tiny victories. That it's better than just waiting to see if the end will be victorious. We don't know. It will be, but yeah. Let me see. I'm just kind of like bringing. There's some warmth in this. There's warmth in this color, and I don't have it. But anyhow, so I'm also gonna start working on softening. I'm gonna wrap my finger around with a rag. No, doesn't work with a rag. I just want to soften. Maybe this could be a little bit harder, but yeah, softer edges. I like it. So I'm gonna go to the ears. So I think this is good for now. I know that I need to darken this area a little bit more. And maybe I will need to bring the big guns. Oh my gosh, we should find a different phrase that it's not so bellicose for art. Bring the big guns. It's like so, but anyhow, it works. Meaning the Mars black. And I even make the analogy of Mars black being a nuclear color. Talk about using warfare language with painting. Maybe not the best thing, especially with the clock, that nuclear clock thing, or it's not the nuclear clock, what's the name of the clock, the end of the world clock, the seconds, I forgot. Have you seen that, Jen? Maybe I shouldn't bring that up, but
I don't know. I'm trying
you
to
know the
think.
clock that it's a metaphorical. It was created in the 60s or something like that during one of the Cuba missile crisis. They came
Mhm.
up with this idea of the last minute on Earth, the Armageddon clock, something like that,
My Lord.
in which I don't know who does it. I don't know exactly who's in charge of it, but every year they just publish where the clock is, meaning it's always seconds before Armageddon. And you haven't heard of this?
No. No, thank God.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just bringing them. Why does it pop in my
I don't
algorithm?
know, but I'm not gonna research it, Fred.
No, don't. Yeah. Anyhow, sorry, that tangent, it's closed.
Oh my
Going
God.
back to the year of the rabbit.
There we go. Maybe instead of bring out the big guns, we say bring
Yeah.
out the big carrot or the big potatoes or
Right.
something.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna do the outline. I think the most challenging part of the rabbit. It's just funny because every time we do an animal, I love it so much. With the crow, with the dog, there's always one part that becomes the keyhole. The keyhole in the sense that if we do it right, I shouldn't do this because right, wrong, or better shouldn't exist in our vocabulary. But if we get the right combination, click, the door opens, the door of our painting opens. And I think in this painting, in this subject, it's going to be the ears. If we get the right combination on the ears, the shape, the edge work, transitions, blending, light direction, reflections, how it gets anchored on the head, that will be the click that will give access or will open Pandora's box in the most positive way. That's my guess. I don't know. I'm going to tackle the ear, but in my case, I'm feeling more and more that's going to be the ear. It's going to be that keyhole. I'm going to put a little bit more effort, actually, on the ear. Something about that section that I think it's one of those things that the viewer doesn't know what they like, that why they like that paint. Let me just kind of like slow down. The viewer doesn't know why they like that painting so much. They can't put their finger on it, but we know because we know which part of the painting represented that keyhole. And if we work on it and we get the right combination, the viewer will not know, but we will just create that spark. I wouldn't call this science, but there's certainly parts of behind the scenes, there's certainly tricks that as painters, we have like some way of manipulating. All right, so just time-wise, oh my gosh. Not good. It will be, as we say, a work in progress. I'm resketching. Essentially, what I'm doing right now, I'm taking the opportunity of having more paint in my brush to resketch. There's some pink on the ear, so I'm just going to bring, now that I have the darker areas, I'm going to bring some pink and black. So it creates this odd color. All right. Yeah. It's working. A little blending. And I'm going to bring the pink and black on this side of the ear. The board is really, it's uncomfortable. I mean, I'm not uncomfortable, but it's very absorbent. I wouldn't give this board to someone who begins painting because I feel like, you know, it could just give the wrong approach and treat the painting more like water-based, just because it absorbs so much that it's easier to put layers on top. So it makes it easier to layer, which I think it's not necessarily good. I'm just also pixelating. I'm not blending too much, but I'm pixelating. I see a color and I'm just adding a little block, a little building block. I will blend maybe later. Maybe not even in this session, but I'm certainly just adding some blocks here and there. Yeah, not too bad. How it anchors, I think that's good. Not too bad. Okay. Feet. Just gonna go to the feet. This is going well, I think. I'm gonna go to the feet first. There's so many things that I want to do, but I'll go to the feet. So I'm just gonna bring some black, and I'm going to try to reshape. Okay, yeah, not reshape, like sketch with the color. Yeah, I noticed that this is a different. Okay, and the back feet, hind legs. Yeah, all right. So again, trying to stay calm, trying not to let anything that becomes or I appreciate as a conflict step in my process. I know still a long road. I know that I'm moving forward. I know that it's just gonna start developing more and more and more. I'm just trying to have a positive take on the process. I'm not trying to be too judgmental of my own or of the results this early. So, all right, I'm just gonna continue then. I haven't used this in a while, but I feel like because there's so many shades of white, I just wanna see if I should, yeah, just wanna see if I wanna, yeah, bring. Okay. I use this just to create kind of like color samples and see if the color that I make uh, is approximately close. And I think I'm using it right now just because there's so many, again, there's so many, I'm repeating myself, so many shades of white. I'm starting to bring white, by the way, white paint. And I love this idea of creating a greenish white, just because I want the rabbit to feel integrated with the environment. I don't want it to look like too cut and paste. So maybe I would even increase this pastel green shadows on the rabbit. Yeah, no, I think that's good. I'm just gonna bring, I want to see the gray areas. I want to see how much like darker or lighter. This is very dark, but yeah, I think that's good. So I'm still doing first color notes. Maybe I'm gonna make an artistic interpretation. I'm actually going to bring more green rather than gray on the shades. Yeah, I think that's okay. I'm gonna make them this really strange green color with yellow and black and white. I don't know what the color, what I would call this color, but I think it's a cool color. I'm gonna create this green cast. Yeah, it's a green cast on the rabbit. Maybe just thinking of making the painting different, strange. I don't think it will look perceivable, but yeah, why not? A green rabbit, why not?
Leo, do you know what kind of rabbit you have?
Oh, you mean pig?
No, no, no. The rabbit that you're painting. Do you know what
Oh,
kind it is?
I don't.
So I looked it up, and it's either the Californian rabbit or the Himalayan. And I think it's the Californian. The Himalayan looks similar, but it's more
Oh, wow.
cylindrical, and the Californian is supposed to be more like a traditional looking rabbit.
Okay.
But they're related. But I think you have a Californian.
Wow. How
I
about that?
know. What are the
Yeah,
chances?
thanks. I like it. I'll take it.
Mhm.
I'm gonna start concentrating a tad more on the head, I think. Just like time wise, yeah, still an hour, half an hour, but I think I just want to bring a little bit more detail and clean up the white a tad. Um, so I don't know. I feel like, it's inevitable. I always kind of like take the conversation to a weird place, but I remember the first time that I met somebody and the rabbit uh, as a pet, because growing up in Spain, rabbits are not pets. I think things have luckily changed, but yeah, it's not a tradition in Europe to keep a rabbit as a pet. Um, and it's just so interesting the associations that we make, because there are so many rabbits in children's literature, Alice in Wonderland and other stuff, right? There's these characters that become part of your childhood, but you never make that connection between the fantasy world and the real world. Kind of like the level of disassociation that as children we endure is just mesmerizing. Anyhow, um, luckily I've eaten a lot of things growing up, but a rabbit wasn't one of them. So I could just say that. Maybe I should call my mom and thank her. But I've eaten other stuff. But yeah, I met a teacher, 1998. She was my neighbor, elementary school, Compton, an amazing teacher. She taught me so much. And I went to her house. At the time, her fiance was there. Now they're married, and she had a pet rabbit, and I just thought it was amazing. It was shocking. I probably look like uh lights on what is it, the deer headlights or whatever the expression is. Lights or headlights on the deer or whatever.
Deer in headlights. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was speechless and I had so many questions. How many times do you feed the rabbit? Do you let the rabbit loose? I mean, she probably thought I I I think she thought it was endearing for me to ask all those questions. Um, I was almost 30 at the time, so it wasn't just like I wasn't a teenager, but I just couldn't believe it. Does he sleep with you? I just found it like so baffling and incredible and life changing. Yeah, it was, and I say this um, as a beautiful moment, as a teaching moment. I was grateful. I was happy. I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be. This is the kind of people I want to be with. I know it sounds stupid, but I've had so much admiration and respect, and it's like, it wasn't the first rabbit. So she had like many rabbits, but she grew up with pet rabbits, and yeah. So, did you grow up with pet rabbits, Jen? Was it
I did.
something? You
I
did.
actually did. Yeah. It's funny. I was thinking about a friend of mine that has a rabbit and how they're not great pets.
Right.
And then I immediately was like, oh my gosh, I grew up with rabbits. It was very small. I was like 5 and under.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't have a lot of memory, but I remember them at like, the first house I can remember, and we had a lot of them.
A lot
And
of them.
a lot of them, they lived outside.
Okay.
Um, and then my dad would like set up kind of this wire circle,
Uh-huh.
this like fence made of wire in a circle, and then he would, bring them all out so they, could run around and
Yeah.
hop around and everything.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't remember having too much of a relationship with them.
Uh-huh.
Um, because it's not like what you imagine a rabbit. It's not like really like they come to you and you cuddle
Right.
with them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I have seen obviously rabbits sit on people's laps, but that's not kind of the relationship that they
Yeah.
have with humans. So they're not. I don't know. Maybe I'm being rude. I don't know. I didn't find them as great
Yeah.
pets, but
Mm.
we kind of had like a tragic thing where I think like the neighbor's dog or like some sort of wild animal got into them,
Yeah.
and that was the end of the rabbits.
Oh.
So terrible.
No, no, no.
Um, but like, of course, I was too young to understand or even like see any sort of what happened to
Right.
them. But yeah,
Right.
no more rabbits after that.
Mm. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, I just remember. I mean, I have that. Thanks for sharing that. It's one of those things that, sometimes the most mundane stuff, you remember when it happened, where it happened.
Right.
It's just so silly. But yeah, I remember where I was and time of the day, and I don't remember many things, but that was like really, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you're so gracious and you were an animal lover, but I'm sure to other people not having a similar experience that you did growing up and seeing someone have a rabbit as a pet could have been like
Okay. Yeah.
bonkers,
Right.
like
Yeah. Oh,
what?
yeah.
you know
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, I think that speaks to your character too. Well, I know until recently too, like even like the idea of having a dog and treating a dog like a family member, the way that we, so that hopefully a majority of us do
Yeah.
here, that's kind of also
Yeah.
a strange concept to people from other cultures.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Totally. One of the things that I love about here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just kind of like doing some texturing, and I said I was going to do the head, but I'm just having so much fun with softening the edges, bringing some directional brushstroke right now, playing with how do I want the border between one side and the other side, how do I want it to be? What kind of like context, or what kind of like engagement, I think that's the word, do I want for the paint and the color to happen where the focal point meets the background? Because it's not just random. We're not just kind of like covering things and making sure that there's no um, white space. No, it's the opposite of random. We have an opportunity there to create something exciting or bring some intention to it. So think about those very specific areas where the focal point meets the background. What kind of like engagement do you want there? Do you want it to sort of like be super sharp? Do you want to create like sfumato? Do you want to hide it a little bit? So that's where I'm at right now, and I'm totally bringing sfumato to this area. I think it's working. Yeah, it's not too bad. I think it's really pretty. Gonna bring some white. Oops, that's not very white. So just gonna wipe it off maybe. And see, maybe I'll need to bring the white at a later time, but oh yeah, I think that's good. So a little bit of that white right here. I think that it's going to create a sense of volume. It's going to make the areas more specific. The areas meaning the shape of the rabbit. It's going to give it also a very clear sense of the direction of the light. And I'm just not doing, not using any oil because I want also very short brush strokes. I want the white to stay on top. And now I'm taking advantage of the support because of this hyper absorbent surface. I can actually bring the white. Yeah, I can actually bring the white and make it stay on top. All right, I'm gonna start like, I'm gonna bring a smaller brush and maybe start doing some blending of shadows. Something really cool about the shadows. And actually, I am going to also, I need to close the gap right here. This is bothering me a little bit, but I'm just softening stuff, you know. I want to bring some attention to the eye. I think that's going to be important. Yeah, I'm so excited we do this. When I read the symbolism, it just felt right, you know, more so just because I feel like we had a calm beginning of the year, but in the past few days, it just seems like we are back in the vortex, looking down at the abyss and getting pulled by this force to be sucked in negativity and nonsense. So I want to hold on to a visual that brings in the idea of like positivity and curiosity, positivity. And I think this is, yeah, this is wonderful. I think I wanted to work in that way. I wanted to hold on to that visual, make it sort of like a token or a talisman or something that gives me access away from everything else. I know if I want darkness, I know where to go. I want something that I could just spend some time and say, no, this makes me feel good. This brings positive feelings. So that's why I'm so excited about this and so happy we're doing it. It's a long way until the end of the year. It's a long stretch. And, you know, we just want to make sure that we are in control and protected in a way. So I think any sort of like mechanism, I wouldn't call it a source of escapism, but, you know, more like transforming that energy into something positive. I mean, just being present and painting does it for us. But I think this is like a little extra bonus. All right, so I'm just gonna close the gap up there, and we have like 20 minutes. So I think that's good. I'm gonna close the gap in the upper part. because I think there's something really nice about um, giving it some context with the background. I'm actually happy with the green. I'm actually happy with the green. Yeah, I think it's going to be a beautiful painting in the end. Yeah, I'm going to bring some of the black. Drawing wise, I see some elements that I need to touch up. I loved my favorite animal was possibly the ox that we painted, Jen. Do you remember those paintings?
Oh my gosh, they were beautiful.
Yeah.
I remember some of them vividly.
Yeah, that was a really great experience, actually. You know, with the and all the discoveries, the brown pink
Mm-hmm.
that we applied on the fur, we actually did a lot of like great progress with technique also. It's really good.
We did, okay, so we did the ox. Did you say we did the a pig? We did the pig?
I think when we did the pig in drag, that was a year.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Esther the pig. Is
Esther,
that it?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh
she's
my
the
gosh,
best.
what is she doing? I know that, she's been at the hospital. She had cancer.
No.
Yeah, but I think she's still okay. I haven't checked.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I follow
Yeah,
her. Let me check Esther.
yeah, if you can.
Esther the Wonder Pig.
Esther.
Yeah, she as of 5 hours ago, she went back to bed after breakfast, so I won't be tired on the weekend.
Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Okay, good. Oh, they did a children's book.
So
Um,
fun.
okay, so it's still good. Okay, I know that
Yeah,
at some point I just lost contact because they were doing like CT scans and hospital. I'm like, I can't.
no,
Uh,
absolutely not. Oy.
sorry. All right, so I'm just gonna blend that shadow. That was a fun uh, collection, especially when we got that new student at Griffith Park.
That was amazing. Oh my gosh, you guys, we had this new student. We knew nothing about them. Like, people sign up and we just are like, okay, great, hope for the best. And this dude starts walking up, and we're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because the lesson that day is pigs in drag. So we're like, oh my God, oh my
Imagine
God. And
going to
he's,
an art class.
yeah, exactly. And he's probably what? And he's like mid
Mid
60s. And
60s, yeah.
yeah,
Not the happiest look, not a
no,
smile,
no, no.
really a stir.
Yes, for sure. And so, yeah, he walks up, and sure enough, this is our new student. And Julio has to break it to him that we're doing pigs in drag. And this is at Griffith Park. We have not seen him since.
No, he came back. He
Oh,
came
he
back last
did.
week.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
good, good, good. Well, I tell you what, he was surprisingly open
Yeah.
and was just like, sounds fun. And yeah, we were the me's for judging him.
No,
Um,
he enjoyed it. He was so complimentary.
he was.
Yeah, no, he came back. His son booked him another session again.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and I was like so happy. Uh, we're doing the Lord's work,
We are, friend. We are doing the
changing minds
Lord's
and
work.
hearts, I think.
One dad at a time.
Was pretty amazing. Yeah. So many of those paintings sold, actually.
They're so charming.
Yeah.
I love her teeth.
Yeah.
So you guys, it's the name of the pig that we're referring to is um her name is Esther. She has an Instagram account called Esther the Wonder Pig. And she's a rescue farm animal that these two men
Yeah.
have rescued. And I don't know how old she is, but basically the entire Instagram account is her and her brother, I believe, brother or sister, who's a dog.
I don't know. There are
And
always a bunch of animals. There's the turkey is always in and out of
oh
the house.
yes, turkey.
Um, and how many followers do they have now? They're verified and everything. They became a thing.
Oh yeah.
They have um oh see, like 588, 588,000. Um, yeah, but they have merchandise now. Public figure. They're from nice, yeah, and they are based in Canada. Um, oh yeah, there is a lot of stuff. Um, anyhow, I'm gonna tackle the eye. I'm gonna find that painting. I love that painting. I think it's such an amazing job. Everyone did. All right, so I'm just gonna continue with the eye, and that's maybe a little bit too on the orange side. We'll see. I just need to. Okay, so really, I know the eye's a little strange, but um, I find it interesting. I don't want to use red. I think it's more the lavender side. I don't know. It's just I feel a little conflicted about the color of the eye. No, it's kind of like it's okay. I'm gonna keep it and then think about it. Um, yeah, I think that's okay. And time-wise, we still have time, so I'm just gonna probably create some lavender tone with the blue, the light blue, the periwinkle, and the salmon rose. Yeah, I'm just gonna get that and then just paint the outside of it. Yeah, I think that's good. All right. Yeah, very good. So I'm just gonna bring some white now and try to blend that. Oh, yeah, I'm so happy. Yeah. It's a really strange eye, but I'm not gonna think about it. I'm gonna apply the principles of removing myself from the conflict right now. That I just talked about. I think it's a good idea. I'm not gonna insist. I'm insisting right now. I'm pushing against it. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it. I can't leave it, so okay, good. Yeah. Oh, that's much better. That's much better. and bring some, I need a different kind of red, but I don't want to use red. I don't want to use red. There's a little highlight on the eye, so I'm just gonna bring that highlight that makes the eye look wet. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna continue with the nose. I feel like there's something there, but so at this point, I'm just using a medium or small brush. And I'm just trying to create some whiskers, maybe, yeah. Although I think I'm just gonna bring uh, the whiskers like later also. So this is too big. Oh, I love the eyebrow. I think those are eyebrows too. Big hairs. Yeah. And maybe with this color, uh, like soften a little bit uh, the size of the whiskers because it's a little bit too. Okay, here we go. Create some randomness. I love the blue. I'm gonna bring some blue. Yeah, and some white to clean this area around the eye. Yeah, so the color of the eye remains uh, contained a little bit. Okay, good. Yeah, I think that's good. I'm gonna soften some of the edges. I don't want it to be too here. For example, this edge. I want the ear not to feel too cut and paste. So with a clean brush, I'm just gonna go in and soften that area. Same with the ear above. Okay. And with black, blend a little bit more here. Yeah, bring some white up there. Just doing some final, maybe pixelating a little bit more in a more detailed way. I'm gonna bring the image because oh yeah, it's pretty white up there. Okay, yeah. The printer made sort of like a weird mistake. And it dragged the ink in a strange way. So now I realize that there's a lot of like really white area on top. Okay, good. Step back, pause. Um, I love looking at my work through the little screen because it's a way of like stepping back for me. Um, so step back and see what it looks like. Yeah, I think that's good. And again, bringing that white, the stark white. I don't know, it looks a little strange, but I'm just gonna, I think it's the color. I need to change the color of the eye, I think. And I think it's too colorful, but It's okay. Just gonna also work on the shape of the cheek. And soften this a little bit more. There's some blue on that area, so I'm gonna bring some blue. And the darker green right here needs to be a little bit more present. Okay, good. Maybe some of the gray. All right, so yeah, I think that's okay. Just bringing some of that darker. I constantly flicker my eyes back and forth because with the fur, the thing about the fur is that nothing is really contained, nothing is separated, segregated, cut. Everything, even though I see highs and lows, but everything's continuous. So I have to be careful when I make the brush strokes, at least my approach. I want to make sure that those lines don't feel very drawn or too drawn, because that's going to give it like a flatness that I'm not interested in personally. And again, everyone has a different approach to um, translate this, but there's nothing artificial about the gradation and the changes of value within the rabbit. Everything's very harmonious and soft. And I want to bring that. For example, there's like a very strong line right here on the back. So I'm going to soften that line. I think it's still very graphic. Nothing wrong about it, but I just want to diffuse it a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna bring some of the gray in. So that's a little less. And this feels pretty regular. I think I'm gonna bring some of the green that I made. Okay, so a couple more minutes, but drawing wise, this arch is it's too regular, it's too predictable, so I'm just changing it. And this needs to go in a little bit. And also on the forehead, there's this indentation, a slight indentation. I'm just gonna bring it to. So there's also this puffiness that it's a little bit higher. So with the edges, I try to make it a little less regular, but because it is not regular. So it looks more natural, less artificial. Okay, I think that's good. I'm gonna stop here. I feel I'm not satisfied with the eye, but mainly because of the color. It's like a strange color. It's too flesh tone, so it almost feels like some sort of like a strange. But anyhow, I'm just gonna conclude the session. I'm happy that I was able to do a lot more than I expected. I think the rabbit has a painterly look, and I can't wait to develop it a little bit further. Everything we do in one session is a work in progress. We're going to have many opportunities in the next 2 weeks. And I know how hard it is to give it another session, but we encourage you to find time to do so, even if it's like 5 minutes, in order to push it forward. I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to upload it, as we usually say. Make sure you take a break and stretch and drink and eat something if you need to, and use the restroom if you need to. We'll reconvene in 10 minutes. So whatever time you have, it's just going to be in 10 minutes. We'll just come back. We're going to stop the recording right now. Thanks you guys for joining us. please upload the photographs so we can have a little bit of a conversation and exchange ideas. It'd be nice. And yeah, so we'll see you in 10 minutes. I'm going to stop the recording if I find. Okay. Bye.